Okay, the next move is bishop to f6, blocking this attack that the queen has on my rook. This was an excellent move for me. Number one, it defends the rook. Queen can't capture the rook now. It also threatens the queen. So now the queen has to move. In addition to that, it also skewers the queen to this b2 pawn and also the rook. Now if the queen moves, that's going to expose this file. My next move will be to capture b2. And then regardless of where he moves his knight to try to free up his rook, it'll be too late because it'll take two moves just to free his rook, and then by that time I'll just capture his rook. So basically with this skewer, I've essentially threatened both a pawn and a rook. So that's really a bad situation here for white. That's actually not going to come to pass, but that's another thing that white had going against him with that move. So now he moves back and he puts me in check again. All he's really doing is giving me the opportunity to continue to develop my pieces, which I do. I move my knight up and I block his queen. Now we can kind of see that now that we're about halfway through the game here, white still really hasn't done much with his remaining pieces. He's just moving his queen around a lot, and she has captured some material. But his queen's still kind of in the back section of the board, and it's not anywhere near his king, which at this point white really needs because he needs some help defending his king. White's next move is g3. Now I'm glad I have my h-pawn there because instead of having to move my queen, I can just capture his pawn. Now he's going to capture back, and it's a question of is he going to capture with his h-pawn or his f-pawn. He actually chooses his f-pawn, and this is a good move because now it forces my queen to obviously evacuate this entire file, but then once she does that, it's going to pin my bishop to my king. So now my bishop can't attack this b-pawn. It's actually stuck to the king. So that was a good move for white there. Unfortunately, I still had a better move, which is to put him in check. And he, being as how he has no pawns to defend him anymore because I'm behind his pawns, and he's got two pieces over here that aren't doing anything, he's only got one piece that can protect him, and that's his rook. So he moves his rook up. Now he pins his rook to his king, which is bad, but at least it's defending the check threat. Now I could come down, I could check him again here on c1 or e1. But I go ahead and choose this move. Captures h-pawn with my rook. My intent that whole time was to eventually get my rook into this attack. And I actually hadn't planned on using any pieces but my queen and my rook. So it makes perfect sense that my bishop and my knight are both pinned to my king. I don't need them, I just need my queen and my rook. Now, black has to take this rook. This was a forced exchange. If he doesn't, my next move is mate to f2, or mate takes f2. So he has to take that rook. But what he's done is he's left his rook unprotected. That allows me to take it with my queen and put him in check. Now you can see that black is pretty much done here. It may be hard to see right now, but just the fact that my queen is in such close proximity to his king, and he has no pieces to defend him, there's really no way that his king is going to be able to come back from this. His queen is too far away to ever come to his defense. So black moves out of the way, I follow him and put him in check again. This isn't just to be harassing, I'm actually kind of repositioning here, and you'll see what I'm going to do. Black moves back, or white moves back. Now I reposition my bishop to attack this G pawn here, and that's actually the pawn that I intend on mating, or the square that I intend on mating black with. So that's where I'm going to put the pressure on black. He does pretty much all he can do, and he's trying to get my bishop off of that powerful square there on e5. However, I can let the bishop hang there because I have a check on my next move, which buys me another chance to reposition here. So I check white here. He moves down here to h1. Now I go ahead and take that pawn. That's the appropriate time to do it, and you can see mate in 1. White, there's nothing white can do about it. So at this point, the game is lost here. And what's important to notice, white has center control, true, but he's violated a number of other opening principles here. He never developed this knight. The game, as you can see, is pretty much already lost. He's never developed his knight. So that's a big problem for him. Also, he moved his queen out early, and he moved his queen and his bishop multiple times. And even though he made a nice little fork there, he sacrificed a lot in order to gain that material advantage. And that kind of tells the story for what happened to him. So obviously, his next move, he's just trying to trade away pieces. Takes my pawn with his queen, I take it back, puts me in check with his pawn, reposition my king. Now he develops his knight, and queen to h2, mate.